Hello, how are you guys doing today? This is Brayton, and today's video is going over vitamins, herbs, minerals, all the good natural stuff, and do these things really affect hair loss and or cause hair growth? And just kind of like my opinion on this stuff today, my anecdotes, what I've seen in the literature for a lot of these vitamins, herbs, and what's kind of overhyped, what really just doesn't work. So there are a lot of vitamins, herbs, minerals that have been claimed to cause hair growth or prevent hair loss. So there is definitely not a shortage when it comes to information out there all over the internet saying, hey, this causes hair growth, this is the cure for that, this will miraculously just grow your hair like weeds and or stop your male pattern baldness and the hair loss and this and that. So there's a lot of information, misinformation too, out there when it comes to hair loss and how vitamins, minerals, and certain supplements can, cure or like help hair growth tremendously or this and that. So there's a lot of stuff out there, but I'm just going to cover the kind of the main things I've seen when it comes to, or like the most popular stuff when it comes to hair growth or preventing hair loss, like as in a supplement regimen, certain vitamins, herbs, and all the good stuff there. So kind of like we're just going to start off with the most popular ones. So first off is vitamin D or vitamin D3 in the supplement form. And there are a lot of people who do recommend vitamin D3 if you are experiencing hair loss. Now, in general, how problematic is this when it comes to being vitamin D deficient, and how is this going to affect your hair loss or hair growth? Not really that much. Now, in general, what you should be worrying about more when it comes to being vitamin D deficient is, well, tons of things that vitamin D3 supplement form or vitamin D in general does for the body. You shouldn't be worrying about hair loss that much when it comes to taking vitamin D3. Just in general, there's only a very few cases where vitamin D deficiencies and hair loss were connected. Of course, when your body is deficient in a certain thing, a lot of things are going to start failing. It's not just, your hair is falling out. That's just one of them, because, well, your hair is an organ. Your hair is made of cells, just like everything else in your body. So when your body is deteriorating, your hair is going to deteriorate too, because, well, everything's connected. It's an organ. So, at the end of the day, when you are vitamin D deficient, you shouldn't be worrying about hair loss in this aspect. There are a ton of other things you should be worrying about, and vitamin D deficiency is not going to be causing your hair loss, most likely. It is very, very rare when it comes to that. And if anything, you'll show signs of something that is a lot more problematic than hair loss when it comes to vitamin D deficiencies in general. So that is my stance on it. So next up on popular vitamins that I see that are recommended for hair loss are things like vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin E. Now, obviously these vitamins are known for their antioxidant properties, so scavenging for free radicals, things that cause oxidative stress as well. And if you are deficient in these things, yes, it may affect your skin and hair negatively, but also you're having a lot of other things in the body, that are going bad as well when it comes to, having free radicals amok and having oxidative stress and the other things that antioxidants do in the body. So obviously you shouldn't be worrying about hair loss if you are deficient in these things. You're going to be experiencing other symptoms as well. It's not just really hair loss at the end of the day. So it kind of plays back into the vitamin D thing as well. But I will get into antioxidants and why I think they're also very important though for just all around hair cosmetic look, a skin cosmetic look, and just all around looking the best on the outside as well as the inside, kind of later in this video of an antioxidant segment as well. So next up on the list of vitamins that I see recommended the most and just is the most common is B vitamins. So biotin, B12, and folate. Now in general, how deficient are you going to be in B vitamins? It's rare unless you have a certain polymorphism where you can't properly methylize certain B vitamins, especially something like B12. I do recommend getting a B vitamin supplement that's high quality and that is methylated. If you don't properly B vitamins, it can be harmful and you can be deficient in B vitamins. So I definitely recommend that, but the chances of you being actually deficient in biotin, for example, are very low unless it's third world country and certain foods aren't rich in B vitamins. It is rare that you're deficient in biotin, and biotin is very common, and unless you eat a lot of egg whites or something where the avidin in the egg whites binds to biotin, biotin is produced in the gut. It's you are probably not deficient in biotin. So I definitely wouldn't recommend taking a biotin supplement for hair growth, or especially not against hair loss as well. So way overhyped in my opinion. Now something of the other B vitamins, B12 can be different. Now a lot of B vitamins, if you are this kind of plays back into like the vitamin A, vitamin D thing. You're going to notice other things, not just hair loss when it comes to, if you are extremely deficient in these vitamins. Hair loss is just a consequence of many other things that are failing in the body. So, I really wouldn't be worrying about it too much. You don't have to supplement stuff like this. Next up, we have minerals, so stuff like zinc, selenium, iron. Now, how effective are these going to be at, growing hair or treating hair loss? Well, selenium helps build antioxidant enzymes in the body, so we're just go ahead and throw it into the antioxidant section in the later half of this video. While something like zinc or iron, now iron in general, that is definitely something I'm like, okay, you should not be supplementing iron for hair growth. Like, the chances of that you're deficient in iron and if you take iron, you're gonna have a crazy hair growth are extremely low. If you're low in iron, there are definitely a lot of other things you should be worrying about. So I'm not really gonna be like iron. Yeah, I don't recommend that for you taking it as a supplement for hair growth or preventing hair loss especially. Now, zinc on the other hand, depends. Now, zinc, of course, it's not gonna make that much of a difference. Zinc in general is important, but you are probably not deficient in zinc. And in general, zinc may act as a mild 5-alpha-reductase inhibitor, but it is such a low effect that it's really not going to prevent any like miniaturization of, male pattern baldness. So it's just zinc deficiency in general. Like, of course, this plays back into the antioxidant roles because zinc does have antioxidant properties as well. So I guess they're all getting thrown into the antioxidant section here. Now, what about hair loss, as in androgenic alopecia, male pattern baldness, and female pattern baldness? Now, these conditions, or androgenic alopecia in general, is genetic and it's caused by androgen, so usually dihydrotestosterone, when it binds to the androgen receptor, causes miniaturization of the hair follicle itself and where it just kind of dies off. In general, how do you treat something like this? Typically with a 5-alpha-reductase inhibitor. So testosterone converts into DHT through the 5-alpha-reductase enzyme. Now, when you have a 5-alpha-reductase inhibitor, that cuts off that conversion, so you have no more DHT that can really bind to the androgen receptor and cause the miniaturization of the hair follicle, which causes the male pattern baldness. Now, in general, what about natural solutions? Because we all know about finasteride and like dutasteride, for example. Those are the drugs that help with male pattern baldness and miniaturization of the hair follicles. Now, there are definitely a lot of things out there when it comes to natural DHT blockers. Things like saw palmetto, pumpkin seed oil, reishi mushroom, curcumin. There are a ton of different things out there, and zinc too, that have a mild 5-alpha-reductase inhibiting effect. Now, how does this actually play out, and how well do these things actually work? Not very well. Now, in general, a lot of these things are treated for BPH because while the prostate and scalp still have 5-alpha-reductase activity, so that means when DHT binds to the tissues, it causes gene expression, and if you are genetically prone to it, it can cause an enlarged prostate and hair loss. Now, there are different types of isoenzymes. Now, there's type 1 and type 2. Typically, type 2 is found on like the prostate and on the scalp, and type 1, it depends really genetically on how dense your androgen receptors are with these enzymes. So in practical application, you would think that some of these, natural herbs or treatments here that are mild 5-alpha-reductase inhibitors may have an effect on, hair loss. Now, I honestly wish that they did, because obviously it'd just be easier, but they still just don't have the potency to compare to something like finasteride. Even like half a dose of finasteride will, crush more DHT and, some more scalp DHT than something like saw palmetto. So with male pattern baldness, female pattern baldness, or androgenic alopecia in general, the main thing to deal here is androgen. So DHT or dihydrotestosterone, you have to get it under control to control your hair loss, especially in the top of your head here. Now, that is the most common form of androgenic alopecia is on the top. There are rare cases of on the sides, but that is called retrograde alopecia and is a bit more rare here. Now, dealing with male pattern baldness or female pattern baldness, something like finasteride is going to work probably the best for you. Now, it crushes a good amount of scalp DHT activity and systemically crushes a good amount of dihydrotestosterone as well. Now, typically for men, it's about 1 milligram daily. It can be titrated, just depends on how the individual responds to the drug itself, if they have any side effects from it. And then for women, typically 5 milligrams is going to be the most effective dose, and 1 milligram doesn't work as well for them. So that's typically used for androgenic alopecia. Now, something to help compound and fight against male pattern baldness or female pattern baldness is topical minoxidil, 5%. I typically am going to recommend topical minoxidil over oral minoxidil just because I do have a video on it if you want to check it out. But topical minoxidil is the most potent hair growth stimulant to date at the moment, and usually it's tolerated very well, and it's going to work for most individuals. And if you don't respond to it, there are things to help compound with it, something like tretinoin to help reabsorb and have higher sulfosyltransferase activity with minoxidil, so it just has a better effect on hair growth in general. Topical minoxidil is going to be, it's an over-the-counter, easy to get, hair growth stimulant, and it works for most people. I typically am going to recommend it comparatively to other hair growths. Oils, for example, like I say, like rosemary oil is like a very popular treatment for hair growth. Now, there are like a study where it's like rosemary oil compared to minoxidil, and rosemary oil came out on top, but in general, rosemary oil is actually not that effective for hair growth in general. You can't really just say, there's a study on it, that means it must work. Now, there is good studies and bad studies. A double-blind controlled study with placebo is probably going to be the best and most effective trial when it comes to testing something if it actually works. Now, rosemary oil is definitely way overhyped when it comes to how well it grows hair. You can use it. I'm not against it. I actually tried rosemary oil myself. I had no significant growth or anything like that. I think I made my hair just like the more kind of like tangly. So that's, I use it for a cosmetic look, and same with castor oil as well. But, castor oil, peppermint oil, rosemary oil, how effective is these stuff going to be for hair growth? Not that much. Now, some people may experience hair growth. It depends. I've heard of people, ingesting castor oil and having, major body hair growth and hair growth in general. You can, but there are some side effects, especially with ingesting castor oil, especially digestion problems. Castor oil at higher dosages too can actually promote induced labor. So potent laxative. So yeah, I personally think that something like, the rosemary oil, the castor oil, peppermint oil, stuff like that, those just oils in general are not really that evidence-based, not the best studies on them when it comes to actual causing hair growth. I'm not against using them, but I think it's kind of like more of just a waste of time and money when it comes to if you think that these things are going to grow a substantial amount of hair. And that's just my opinion, though. I may be wrong, but I just think stuff like that is just a little too overhyped, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm nothing against them. I do actually use castor oil and peppermint oil and rosemary oil when it comes to, cosmetic looks. I think peppermint oil is good for, having your hair smell good, as well as I use it in my shampoo. I use in my conditioner as well for like a carrier. And the same with castor oil. If I want my hair to be more tangly or more tight, I use castor oil, and sometimes I use it on my skin too. And then rosemary oil, I usually combine with something like jojoba oil for and also a cosmetic look. Now, could these things be causing hair growth? Who knows? But I'm also on like a strong 5 alpha-reductase inhibitor and minoxidil, so who knows? But yeah, that's just my opinion on that stuff there. So yeah, so next up, we're going to get into probiotics and gut health and how there are certain strains here. I'll put up a strain, a probiotic that got a little hype around supposedly growing a lot of hair in rodent studies and how these things are potent and it grows a ton of hair like it's a growth hormone or MK67. Stuff like that, or things that cause major hair growth. This probiotic is the new thing. Now, obviously, this is a rodent study, and there are definitely people out there who've tried, trying this probiotic strain out, and I'm all for it. I'm all for gut health, and if you really want to put this into your diet, or ferment it maybe to make it stronger and see if you have hair growth, go for it. I'm all for it. I think gut health is very important, and I think there definitely is a connection when it comes to the skin gut axis and having good skin when it comes to your gut health and maybe skin and hair maybe. But I at the end of the day, I just think it's not gonna be that potent at growing hair comparatively to something like your typical minoxidil. So, I'm not against it, but I think it's a little Yeah, so, I mean, I don't have a strong opinion on it, but yeah. Next up after that, it would be something like ashwagandha. Now, ashwagandha is a little interesting. It doesn't really, like, its effect on hair is not really going to be what people think. It's not actually causing hair growth. It mildly suppresses cortisol, so, the stress hormone. And so people usually, they tie hair loss with stress. Now, this is actually a lot more rare than people think. Shedding is very normal with hair. So it's normal to have certain shedding. But, if you're stressed out and having something called telogen effluvium, which is pretty rare, and it only really happens in extreme cases, like if you have, like anorexia or you're bulimic or something like PTSD, and that can cause, extreme telogen effluvium. So ashwagandha at the end of the day is really going to have no effect on hair growth or, if you have telogen effluvium, like maybe, but no, I really wouldn't think twice about using ashwagandha for hair loss or hair growth. So yeah, stress and hair loss is definitely overrated, and it's a lot more rare than people think. Next up, we have hyaluronic acid. So hyaluronic acid is interesting because typically it's paired with something like collagen, for example, or beauty supplements. Now, hyaluronic acid has a decent amount of literature on maybe its effect on skin, nails, and keratin. So maybe its effects on hair are positive, so maybe, some positive hair growth possibilities, but how potent is this really going to be? Negligible. But, I mean, if you have your hair loss under control and you have, you're on medications for it, you're on, your topical minoxidil and or, your 5-alpha-reductase inhibitors, something like hyaluronic acid, I guess, is, complement, it helps complement your hair. So, I'm not against it, but I don't think it's a first-line defense against, hair loss and, causing hair growth. So yeah, that's that. So next up is collagen. And so collagen, yeah, definitely known as the beauty supplement, or definitely one of the most popular supplements, and definitely recommended the most for women, for example, for hair, quality and hair loss, hair growth in general. Collagen is not very effective. Collagen itself is not a complete protein source. It is missing out on tropiotin. And so technically it is not a full protein source. Collagen itself has a high molecular weight, so not only can it not be applied on the skin and be properly absorbed, but in the gut it has to break down a lot into the amino acids, and the collagen just doesn't go to your skin. Collagen is the most abundant protein in the body, and I think collagen synthesis is important. Something like NAC, for example, for promoting collagen synthesis is more important than taking collagen itself. It's the benefits from collagen that we get is from the amino acids in collagen, which you can just really get from any protein source. So collagen, definitely way overhyped, in my opinion. And I think you should just be sticking to more of a better high-quality protein diet in general. So obviously that's my opinion, and that's for people. There are different types of collagen peptides, and some people may stand by and say it works really well. But in my opinion, I think collagen is just way overhyped when it comes to the beauty, hair, skin, and nails section, and how it's going to prevent hair loss, cause hair growth. Definitely not my top choice here. So next up here we have our antioxidant section. So the grand finale, or the kind of lead up in this video that I've been tailoring into. So antioxidants in general, I'm a big fan of them. I think it's very important, and they're overlooked a lot when it comes to hair health, organ health, just all around cellular health in general. I think if you have a high antioxidant rich diet, it's going to really affect your skin and hair, obviously, that mean they're still organs, but so dealing with free radicals and oxidative stress, it's important. So obviously if you have those things under control, it's going to reflect on your outside. So if you have high antioxidant rich diet, so that's the vitamin C, the vitamin E, vitamin A as well. Vitamin A a little differently, though I believe if you superdose vitamin A, it actually can cause hair loss. So certain vitamins, obviously you gotta be careful on how much you dose. You can't just superdose and be like, I'm gonna get crazy hair growth, or I'm gonna get this crazy effects. Honestly, sometimes they can really trickle down and cause actually worse effects. So you just gotta be, gotta notice your dosaging and how you titrate certain things. So you can't just take super dosages all the time and get super effects. So obviously, in that aspect there. So I'm a big fan of, antioxidants and maybe how their effects on the body when it comes to, maybe some hair growth and, but obviously these are complementary, things when it comes to, preventing hair loss and having, hair growth, hair just cosmetic look. So obviously you want to have your hair loss down when it comes to your type of alopecia or your androgenic alopecia, being under a 5-alpha-reductase inhibitor. making sure that's under control, maybe having a proper hair growth stimulant like minoxidil or, a certain hair growth stimulant. So obviously those are the first line of defense here. And then something like what I would recommend next would be like your antioxidants, help complement, your hair maybe, and just how fast it grows in that aspect, and maybe just kind of like the look of it and density of it. Because in general, I think I'm a fan of something like inositol. I use 4 grams a day, and I think personally, my anecdote, I think it's have my hair look a little better cosmetically, and maybe the effect of how fast my hair grows. And also I use something like NAC, N-acetylcysteine, a glutathione precursor. Glutathione is a potent antioxidant, so obviously that can downstream help with hair growth too. But like I said, they're not like they're going to work miraculously. They're not going to. It's just really complementary. So that's why I take things like vitamin C, selenium too, CoQ10 even. So certain antioxidants may have a trickle down effect of hair growth and just hair quality, skin quality, but obviously your insides as well, all around just health. So, and that's why it's like the second line of defense here when it comes to like cosmetic look and just all around health in general there. So but yeah, I think that's gonna be my grand finale there. If you guys want to add anything, I definitely, there are a lot of vitamins and minerals I didn't cover, and a lot of different herbs too that I didn't cover for hair loss. I would love to hear it in the comments down below, maybe some of your anecdotes, things that you've seen online, some studies you want to back it up with. I'm all ears. I'm definitely, down to have a discussion about certain things, because, some people are big fans of certain, vitamins, minerals, or herbs that they had a great experience with it. I would like to look into those as well. So feel free to leave a comment. If you guys enjoyed, feel free to leave a like. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed. And well, I'll see you guys later. So,